Narcissist Seduction, Episode 30. Ashleigh walked ahead of Wynne. He was carrying 2 baskets, which were almost full with tinsel and baubles of varying sizes and colours. He was staring at her shapely calves as she walked, the tops of her toned legs disappearing under her tight dress. Occasionally, she would turn and glance over her shoulder, sending him a dazzling smile before throwing her head back with a laugh and turning away. He delighted in seeing her so happy and free of the oppression which she had been subjected to for so long. The pair had met on the outskirts of the city and parked at a garden centre. Ashleigh had bombarded Wynne with text all day, compliment after compliment, which rained down on him. He found it difficult to get much work done amidst the avalanche of wonderful comments she had engulfed him in. He didn't mind. His assistants were content to receive additional delegated items as he flitted between browsing reports and answering her text. Ashleigh had made sure, indeed had insisted, that he made love to her in the back of her spacious car. He had at first hesitated, wary of being spotted, but she was most persuasive and soon had him aroused, his trousers by his ankles as she hitched her skirt up and backed onto him. He need not have worried, as the combination of the gathering darkness and the steaming of the car's windows masked what was happening inside. Ashleigh revelled in the activity, calling out how good it felt, and as ever, her signature declaration that it just does not stop. Once he had reached his own climax, she had jumped away from him and adjusted her clothing, hurrying him to do the same. He found her sudden impulsions alluring. Her energy was infectious, and he clambered out of the car, laughing as he buckled his belt, stuffing his shirt back in. Now she sashayed through the garden centre's Christmas display, picking up ornaments, regarding them and placing them in one of the 2 baskets that Wynne carried. He wore a permanent smile, wrapped up in her joy. Wynne relished being with her at any time, but more and more their lives were becoming enmeshed. Moreover, they were doing more things as an ordinary couple might, rather than a duo engaged in a tryst. Wynne loved Christmas, and strolling through the displays of blue and silver, gold and red, lights twinkling and a Christmas carol playing over the PA system, made him happy. To be able to share the experience with Ashleigh made it perfect. How he longed to give her a present on Christmas Day and watch her open it, eyes wide in excitement as she unwrapped his gift. He found himself drifting into such reverie regularly now. Scenarios of sitting at home and enjoying breakfast as they scanned the weekend papers, walking along a windswept beach with her children and dancing close together in an upmarket wine bar after an impressive meal at a restaurant, all of these played out like short films in his mind. Ashleigh turned again and draped some blue tinsel about his neck, planting a kiss on his mouth before giggling and darting away to a display of ornate baubles. With each passing day, he felt that he was nearing his destination of being with her. He passed small milestones which brought their worlds closer together. The fact that her parents knew about them was one. Her desire to seek advice about the divorce and its consequences was another. The fact that she had told her 2 oldest and best friends about her willingness to end her abusive marriage to Peter was yet another. Wynne was pleased with himself. Not once had he pushed her to take a step. Not once had he urged her to tell Peter that it was over. He had let her plough her own path. It was something she was clearly not used to enjoying. Peter controlled so much of her life that she found making decisions unusual but clearly edifying. Wynne's laissez-faire approach was paying dividends. He could rest on his oars, content to let the current carry him and Ashleigh over the finishing line. "What about this one?" asked Ashleigh, holding up a glittering icicle. "Looks good," said Wynne. "I think I will buy 5. "Go for it." "I love shopping with you. You're so relaxed." He would be sat in the car now, ringing me up asking me what was taking so long. "But you, well, you seem pleased to see me enjoying myself." "Absolutely right," said Wynne, and he kissed Ashleigh on the cheek. "How did I not grab you earlier, she mused, as she pushed a hand through his hair affectionately. Well, I suppose it all happens for a reason, said Wynne, unable to find a satisfactory response and instead falling back on a stock response. Yes, it is fate that you and I have met now. I wish it had been earlier, though. So much would have been different. Perhaps it was meant to be like this. Maybe if we had come together earlier, it might not have worked. Don't say that. Ours is a perfect love, she remarked. Yes, I know. I'm just saying that perhaps circumstances now are the right ones for you and I to flourish together. She tilted her head and looked at him, eyes filled with admiration. You always know the right thing to say. I love it. I love you. I love you too. Come on, we'd better pay for these, and then I shall have to head off to get home in time to change for tonight's bash. Okay, lead on, Macduff. Ashleigh scurried through the displays like an excited child and waited for him to catch up. He lifted the baskets onto the counter and stood waiting as the sales assistants put the various glittering and shining items through the till. Ashleigh paid for the goods, and he picked up the bags to help carry them to her car. I honestly cannot go a day without seeing you, Ian. I hate the weekends, she said, as he placed the bags into the boot of her vehicle. He pressed the button for the boot to descend and stepped back. It's the same for me as well. I must admit, I find you intoxicating. Do you? Oh, yes. You see, you awaken something in me. For years, I have been too frightened to let the world see the real me. That's why I used to do all the amateur dramatics when I was younger. It was an escape for me, an escape from the control that my parents subjected me to. Your parents? Yes, they never let me make any decisions. They told me which subjects to study at school. They selected my university. Seriously? Yes. I started off doing engineering. That's how I met Peter. I didn't want to do it and rang up the university at the end of my first year to transfer to the economics course. Well, you have to do what makes you happy. I know. When I came off the phone and told my father that I was transferring, he slapped me. You've told me this before, but you said last time it was your mother who hit you. I've not mentioned this before. I don't tell people about it, she said. You did. You told me about it some time ago. I remember it well, as I was so shocked that a parent would do such a thing. No, I haven't told you. Serious, you did, but it doesn't matter. Mother or father, either way, they should have supported your decision now. And to make you feel bad about it is unsatisfactory. And they certainly shouldn't strike you over it. I feel bad for you. Oh, I don't want your pity. So that made me, you see, determined to be the best banker I ever could be. Of course, they still say that I could have achieved things if I'd have been in engineering. My success as a banker still gets overlooked. Well, I recognise how good you are at your job. You're the only one. So I went from their control straight into Peter's. All my adult life, I've never known what it's like to be able to make decisions for me. That is until I met you. Well, I've always stood back and let you make your own mind up about things. Sure, I'll offer advice, but I've recognised that you need to take decisions for yourself. Thank you. At first I found it daunting, but now I couldn't have it any other way, and it's all thanks to you. You've rescued me. You really have. She threw her arms around him and began kissing him urgently. He responded likewise and pulled her close to him. They remained locked together until eventually they separated. You'd best get going. Trying to get rid of me? Of course not, but you need to be on your way to get back and get changed. I know. Hopefully he won't be in when I get back, so I can get changed and head straight out. I should have come and got changed at your house. It would have been easier, but then I would have had to make an excuse about where I would be. I couldn't say it of my friends based in the city. He'd ring them to check. It isn't fair to them to drag them into this. Sure. Come on. Get going. Okay. Ring me once you're in your car and we can talk as we both drive home. Yes, I will. She kissed him again, and then opened the door of her car. He smiled and waved before turning away and walking across the car park to his own vehicle. He settled into the driver's seat and reached for his notepad. He flicked it open and found the latest quiz that he had devised for her. Wynne picked up his phone and rang. Ashleigh answered immediately, her echoing voice denoting that she was using the hands-free system. Good evening, and welcome to Quiz of the Week, began Wynne. Ashleigh laughed, and Wynne commenced the quiz.